Alright guys, we're going to do a quick instructional video on how to use the alignments. Now alignments are exactly what they sound like. When we do an activity with children, we don't want to just do it. We want to actually align it with something that we know is research based. We know children should be learning. For instance, we don't want to teach children something like cooking with knives when they're only 1 year old. It's not age appropriate. And we also don't want to expect 1 year olds to wash their hands perfectly because that's not age appropriate. So I'm going to go into showing you the three basic publications that we use here in Virginia to show us what children should be knowing at specific ages, generally speaking, in the forms of health, safety, and nutrition. So what we have is for birth through age 5, we have the Virginia Milestones of Child Development. For children, this covers 4 years old, but we also have a different document called Virginia Foundation Blocks of Early Learning, and this covers our 4-year-olds only. This is what's used in our public pre-K system. And then, of course, once we get over 5, we're in the public school system, so we use our Virginia SOLs, and that is found here. You can click on health or physical education and then go by grade and click right here to Word or PDF, but I have clicked on one to go over with you. Okay, so in Milestones, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to page 40 where it starts. And that's going to show us the big scheme of things. So we have, here's what children learn from birth down to pre-K, age 5, in gross motor development. So if you're doing something that is maybe an exercise, you're going to be looking at gross motor. We have fine motor too, which as you know is a small muscles of the hand. And then strand 3 is the health and well-being. So it goes down from infants all the way down to our 5-year-olds. This is health and well-being. Now you notice right here it doesn't tell us exactly what age each of these things that they're learning happens. So we'll go next to we'll look at health and well-being on page 43. Okay, so now what we've taken is that whole thing. If you go back to page 40, we have C1 through C14. Now we break it down in ages. So now we have C1, 2. Those are for our birth through 18 months, so our babies. They're demonstrating beginning participation in self-care, and they're consuming a variety of nutritious foods with assistance. Then the next one we have C3 and C4. This is what our toddlers are doing from 18 months, which is a year and a half, to 36 months, 3 years. So they are participating in basic health and safety routines, and they're recognizing and communicating with health needs or interests. Next, we go to our 3-year-olds. This is 3 to 4-year-olds. That's C5, 6, and 7. They're showing increased physical growth, strength, stamina, and flexibility, demonstrating increased participation in self-care, and demonstrating personal health and hygiene skills. So we move on then to our 4-year-olds, and our 4-year-olds are doing C8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So they are showing awareness of healthy eating habits. They're participating actively in games, outdoor play. They're identifying harmful objects. They're being aware of universal safety rules. So if you want to do a game about safety, this would be the one you would pick, that children will be aware and follow universal safety rules. If you're doing a healthy eating activity, so maybe you're making a cooking with children, what they're going to learn by cooking with you is being aware of healthy eating habits. Okay? So that is milestones. So let's now look at foundations. Foundation blocks for health, safety, and nutrition starts on page 34 and goes through 47. So it gives us an introduction. This is why it's important for children to have these skills in health and physical development. So this is really good for your rationale. We move forward to here's our health and physical development, and it tells us what children at age 4 do. They participate in physical activity and explain why it's good. So if you're doing an exercise, if children are exercising and telling you why it's good for their bodies, this might be the alignment you would use. Or if you were doing that food experiment where you were making something with a child, you could use this. The child will identify healthy and unhealthy foods, simple practices and habits that promote health and prevent illness. So you just go on, and it shows you what children should be learning. So here's some that children learn. If you were exercising, they will demonstrate beginning forms of locomotor skills such as jumping, hopping, and galloping. They will perform these skills with teacher-led creative dance. So if you're doing an exercise, maybe going on a bear hunt, this is what you would use to say, this is what I'm teaching the children. This is my alignment. And it gives you some great activities over here too. Moving on, here's some, let's see what we can find. Some movement. I'm looking for health here. Personal fitness. Be, being responsible. We also have physically active lifestyle. So children can identify activities they like and dislike. Children can participate in activities through different levels of proficiency that are harder or easier. We've just got tons and tons health down here in nutrition. Um, a child can distinguish food and beverages on a continuum from healthy to less healthy. So you could maybe do an activity where children are cutting out magazine or grocery flyers and saying this is healthy, this is not. And what they would be learning is to distinguish food and beverages on a continuum from healthy to less healthy. So these are things children learn. All right, lastly, we have the Virginia Foundation block. So I have given you a link that will bring you here, and you will look at grades either kindergarten, 1, 2, or 3, and click on these. I've pulled up kindergarten to show you, and kindergarten, this is stuff for older kids, of course. So here is the kindergarten, what they should know the alignment. So kindergartners explain the body as a living and growing organism. They can tell you that the importance of making healthy food choices. They can explain the effects on drugs and medicines in the body. They can explain the five senses. They can explain the need for physical activity. The student can also explain the key concepts of being healthy, which is 2. So your alignment might be maybe a game for brushing your teeth. So your alignment would be the student will explain the concept of being healthy with personal hygiene practices. Or maybe your activity would be washing hands. So the student will explain the concept of being healthy when it comes to germs. This is also stuff you can find in Milestones if you look here. It talks about safety, self-care, body parts, energy. We talk about health and hygiene. So a 3-year-old could be doing activities with washing hands and brushing teeth as well. All right, so that is your alignments instructed to you in under 8 minutes.